Hello traders, it's Samurai Trader here. Welcome to my webinar, Trade Your Way to Financial Freedom, how to fast track your day trading career. Traders, in this webinar I'm going to be promoting my fast track day traders program, which is valued at $197. What I'd like you to do is to put that aside for a moment, please, and imagine that I'm not even promoting this course, because what I really want to do is to really grab your attention, because I promise you I'm going to give you enormous value for the time that you spend watching this particular webinar. This is not a Universal Studios production. I'm going to be talking to you as your friend, as your success coach. It's going to be raw, real, and direct. So if you could please be open-minded, which is absolutely critical, of course, and even put aside that I'm going to be talking about my program, which I'm selling. I sell to the community. As most of you here are aware, I'm a traders coach, I'm a day trader, and I'm a researcher, and I'm going to be talking a lot more about that in a moment. This is not going to be the shortest of webinars, so put it on hold. Just remember where you pause if you need to leave a room for a moment, but please watch this from end to end, because I promise you you're going to receive enormous value. Now, for those people that are new to YouTube or don't normally watch a video on YouTube, down on the bottom right hand corner, if you go and click on there, it'll expand to full screen. It'll perhaps just make it easier to read some of the things that we have actually up on the screen. Of course, I have to quickly mention our understanding the risk. I'm going to be talking to you about trading futures and Forex here today. Of course, you never trade with money that you cannot afford to lose. Now, we're going to be talking a lot about risk management, etc., as we go on, but very important that you understand the risks. And what this webinar is all about, of course, is how to minimize those risks. So who should be watching this webinar today? Well, if you're not earning a minimum of $100,000 a year as a day trader or as a swing trader, this webinar is for you. Please invest the time and watch this video from start to finish. I'm just going to keep an eye on the time. I may end up splitting it in two. We'll just see how we go, and I'll try to stay to track on here. Now, as most of you know, I've been in this business for over 20 years. I've got literally hundreds of clients from around the world. I'm a day trader. I'm a trader success coach to both new traders and professional day traders. I have current clients in over 20 countries around the world. Thanks to technology today, using Skype, etc., we can connect, and it's just fantastic. Of course, I'm heavily involved in the as a consultant in the funds management industry. So why should you listen to me? Because I've made more mistakes in business and trading than most people will ever make in their lives. I'm 55 years young. Finally found my niche. That is, for many years I've been trading. I think it's 24 last time I checked, and I've been involved in all sorts of things, but finally realized the power of focus, which we're also going to be talking about. So I've developed a trading style that is very much pattern-based, rules-based, that anyone with the desire for an incredible career as a master trader can model. I'm going to be running through fairly quickly, maybe spend a little more time on some of these setups, but 12 easy to learn rules-based mechanical strategies. They're 95% mechanical. Now, where I say 95%, where's the discretion coming? Well, of course, red flag news. I want to make sure that I'm, as a day trader, as a scalper, that I'm not in a position during a news announcement. I want to be able to visually see that I'm in a trend. Now, I have rules that advise me or will guide me that am I in that trend or not. But overall, you still need to be able to look at that, and you still need to be able to visually recognize that. And of course, by having rules-based mechanical setups or strategies, it removes a lot of the emotion, because for me, I'm really about statistics, and we'll cover a lot more than that on that as we go along. So I'm going to cover who I am and what I do in a little more detail. Some of the research and development that I have underway, and for those that have been in the trading industry or even looking at entering the industry, it should be a great deal of interest to you. The real truth about trading for financial freedom, I don't say it lightly because there's lots of people out there and speak about financial freedom in trading, etc. Traders, there is no magic bullet. There really is no massive shortcut. I can fast track you through experience and showing you what not to do, which we're going to be talking about, but you still do need to gain screen time. So we'll be talking about, in my opinion, 12 of the world's best day trading strategies. What I recommend also, if you don't have a pen and a notebook handy, to please get a notebook or a pad and a pen. Take notes. Pause the video as we go. Those that are attending today that are students of mine, as you know, I have literally dozens of spiral bound notebooks. When I trade live, I take notes. When I'm teaching, when I'm talking to my clients, when I go into my meetings, I take notes. The amount of research that I've developed and ideas and techniques is just enormous. So please open up a spiral binder and keep records. Now, the truth about trading, here it is, traders, and this is so true, and I want you to really let this seep in. Now, also, traders, if you're an experienced trader, I know what you're thinking now. Oh no, here we go again. But this is truth. 5% of trading is money and risk management. We'll cover more on that. 5% is your trading strategy. I know probably at least 200 trading methodologies, strategies that work, at least 200. But it really comes down to your entries, exits, your money management. But a massive 90% of all of this is really your mindset, your psychology. Your mindset's the most critical factor in trading, yet the most neglected. It's also almost a cliche. We talk about it every day. Now, being a full-time trader and coach and dealing with some of the people that I deal with, it's something that we still bring up, and the greatest traders will admit this is, if you're going to make it or break it, this is where it comes down to, is your mindset, your psychology. Now, what I am going to cover here is only a tip of the iceberg. Now, the world's best day trading and swing trading strategies, as I mentioned, there's so much more. So after 20 plus years as a trader in research and development, I still learn something new every single day. Now, I'm also going to be very candid. I remember once I had a sales organization very recently actually come in, a marketing guy, and talk to me about marketing some of the coaching services. And as you'll see in a moment, I only do 15 on average, about 15 hours of coaching a week. He came in and I showed him what I do, and he said, look, give me a sales presentation. I did, and he said, Ray, you're too candid. You're going to have to make it more sales orientated. Traders, I've done that in the past, and what I really realize is the best thing for me to do is actually to be direct with you. If anyone has read the book by Jack Welch called Winning, Jack, of course, is one of the greatest CEOs of a company in the world, General Electric, and just massive profits. That was because of Jack Welch. And Jack, in his book, he talks a lot about lack of candor being the biggest killer in business. When I'm coaching you, yes, I want to be your friend, but I also want to be a coach, a mentor, and I want you to be successful, which means I need to be really direct. Now, the things I talk about, and particularly some of the old traders that are watching this webinar right now, is that there are no new fundamentals. Be careful of someone that says, I have a new fundamental. It's the same as somebody saying to you, oh yes, I manufacture antiques. You don't manufacture antiques. When it comes to trading, traders, what worked 50 years ago still works brilliantly today, as long as you have some volume and some volatility in the marketplace. So be very aware of somebody that says they've got some brand new discovery, because there's a lot of very smart people out there, and some of the people I'll show you and talk about perhaps in a moment. So the sign of an intelligent person is how open they are to new ideas. This is particularly directed at some of the experienced traders or those that haven't been making it up till now. I don't have all the answers. However, I've been in this industry for over 20 years, and I promise to give you some of the best I have for the time you invest in watching this webinar. That is, for many people, we need to go back to the drawing board and we need to restart. I had to do it myself. Is that we have to retrain our brain in many cases. The best people for me, in my opinion, to train are brand new traders because they're usually open-minded. You see, the way we think in learning is many of us, when we're learning something, we're not thinking about what we're learning, we're remembering our past experiences. Let me say that again. The best way to learn is to be thinking about what we're learning. But many of us, for an example, I'll show you various things here and you'll remember some of your past experiences. You won't be thinking about the setups, and this is really important. Now, every master was once an apprentice and every professional was once a student. What I mean here is that anyone, providing you can visually see, and that is you can follow the rules 1 2 3, you can become a master. But you need to believe that everybody started somewhere. Now, as I mentioned, and some of your question might be going through your mind, is why am I qualified to talk to you about day trading? Well, for over 20 years I've been seeking a better way to trade. One might even say searching for the Holy Grail. I've run seminars all around the world for hundreds of traders, and I have hundreds of books, a massive library. That's my good-looking photo of me sitting there. And since then, by the way, I'm going to be talking about my desk. I've got it even tidier. Now, where you see me there with 6 screens, you don't need 6 screens. You need a minimum of 2, maybe 4. Remember, the more screens you have, the more things you're looking at. Now, one of the big things I really work a lot on is science. I love things that have been mathematically proven or science-based. And there's now a whole new study that's been done on ego depletion. Ego depletion is not what you think. It's not our ego as in a person, but ego depletion is a study that's now being done. I think it was by Roy Bymaster, and what he really says in his reports and in his science is that our life, we only have during a day so much decision making abilities. That is, the more choices you have, the more mistakes you make. Now, the more choices you make, the less power you have. So in other words, the more things you're looking at on your screen or on your desk, it's going to be draining mentally. It's going to drain you from your own personal trading ability. Now, getting back to why you should listen to me, as I mentioned, I'm a researcher and developer. I literally have dozens of volumes of various subjects to do with trading that we've researched, and you name it, we've probably bought it, I probably own it, etc. And I'll be quickly showing you some of the research I've been doing and have done, and hopefully it be, once again, you think, okay, this guy knows a little bit about what he's talking about, which is really important. Now, as I mentioned, in the past I've been involved in all sorts of things. I've been fortunate in so many ways. I've made it big, I lost big, making it back again. And some of the things I've really come to realize is the power of focus, traders. That's all I do now is trade, and focused on research and development. And if you looked at my desk, all I've got in front of me now is my trading journal, where I take copious notes as I trade during the day. Now, when I say copious notes, I mean I'll probably do a page of notes a day, and write down the trades that I'm taking, of course, why I took the trades, any mistakes I made, etc. And the students that are in the webinar, of course, you can't speak, but you know what I'm talking about here. Now, what I also have is these plastic covered small binders in front of me, which I have all my trading rules, some pattern setups, etc., on some research that I'm currently doing for statistics on various patterns, such as the wolf wave, which is an incredible pattern. We don't have time to talk about it today, but it's absolutely just huge profits from the wolf wave. And it all gets back to the concept of ego depletion. That is, the more decisions you make. So keep your desk very clean. Now, I only trade on average in real life trading, probably only in executing trades between 1 and 2 hours a day maximum, because I have a target of a minimum of $200 a day per contract. I usually hit that within 1 hour plus. And just one point, when I'm on a roll, that is when I'm in what I call the sweet spot of the market, I'll keep going. For an example, the last 2 days we've had some brilliant trends, and you can fire off 5 or 6 winning trades in a row and pick up. I usually pick up, if I'm trading the NQ, 13 to 16 ticks, and I'll only give back one trade. So if I have 6 winning trades in a row, I'll only give back, I'm up close to $400 there per contract. I'll only give back one before I quit, but I might get 7 or 8 in a row. That's why I'll keep going, and that's something for another time. We talk about that in my training course in more detail. So, why do I coach? And this is a really good question, and this is something you may be asking. Okay, Samurai Trader, you reckon you're a good trader? You've probably seen, by the way, my YouTube videos, and many of you of course have attended my seminars or webinars, and so I'm sorry if I'm going to repeat this, but he who teaches learns twice. I'm a much better trader also. That is, when you've got a trader that you're coaching, looking over your shoulder as you trade, asking, why did you do that? It keeps you disciplined. Traders, I'm a much better trader, and I learn something and it reinforces. And remember, in many cases when you're coaching somebody, you actually remember something that you've forgotten. Trading also is my passion. My goal is to change the day traders world forever, to slow the massive failure of traders. I want to be known as a game trader, as a paradigm shifter. Now, some of the goals I'm going to be talking about are my personal goals in trading. Now, they're my goals, and you may not have those goals, but we're going to be covering some very essential information about the importance of having goals when it comes to trading. And as I mentioned, point number one, he who teaches learns twice. I'm a much better trader because I coach, and I love it. Now, I've been fortunate enough to have employed some of the world's best traders in research and development, and some of the companies I'm involved in and have been involved in have employed some brilliant people, and in my role I get to sit down and talk to these guys. Now, one of the secrets of business, of course, is to surround yourself with people better than you, and that's one of the great things about it. There is a lot of smarter traders out there, and what I've also discovered, by the way, was some of these really smart guys, they're not great traders within their rights because they're too analytical. Now remember, in this business we want to follow our rules. So what's my style of trading personally? Here's what I know. Successful trading is a game of probabilities. The markets have a memory. Patterns repeat themselves every day of the week. Now let me just qualify that. If you're a day trader and say trading the YM 89 tick chart, or say the NQ 133, maybe the ES 550 tick, or range charts, these patterns, and I'm going to be showing you some of these patterns and explaining them in detail, repeat day in, day out. Some of these patterns have a 85% probability. Now when you learn your probabilities, it's simply a numbers game. These patterns, these geometric patterns, etc., repeat every day. They're run by psychology of traders. The market has a memory, and this is what's exciting about some of the things I'm going to be teaching you. So I'm a day trader. I'm very patient. I'm a sniper. One shot, one kill. I'm a rules-based pattern trader using a combination of geometric trend following, trend continuation, counter trend, and trend reversal strategies. Now that's a mouthful. It sounds complicated. It's not. I'm going to be talking to you about the best way to learn today trade, and of course we start out by doing it very basically. But one thing I want to impress on every trader here: become a sniper. Every single day, I'm serious, every day I deal with traders that have failed or that are failing, and when I look at their trading style, what they've been doing far too many things, suffering from a massive case of ego depletion. Now I love the trading funds management industry. I day trade around 20 hours a week. Now actively I'm 1 to 2 hours a day, but the rest I'll be tracking, back testing, etc. I coach professional traders 10 to 15 hours a week. So some of you that have sent me emails even recently know that in many cases it takes me a week to get back to you, and I apologize for that, but I'm extremely busy. and I'm booked out, generally speaking, around 8 weeks in advance for coaching. But the big thing that I'm spending a lot of time on at the moment is high frequency scalping strategies with a soon to be launched Follow Me Funds Management Group, and I'm going to be showing you a couple of things there because we've got some really exciting projects there happening. Now, my objective is to be one of the world's best. I'm going to be challenging you and saying to you, you need to have a target of being or becoming an epic day trader as well, and you're about to see why. Don't play small, play a bigger game, as Robin Sharma says. Now, if any of you haven't watched Robin Sharma's work, go on YouTube, Google him or look up on YouTube Robin Sharma. .com. He, in my opinion, is one of the world's best in personal development. Play a bigger game. I believe in and this is what I'm doing every day, constant and never-ending improvement. So I've got the mathematical edge. What gives me the edge? My patterns, my indicators, my trading rules, and of course my money management. Now, I don't want you to do this, something that I've done for years, because I've been doing it for you. That is, save yourself time, money, and energy and frustration. Don't go out and spend a small fortune on books, tapes. I've traveled the world for courses, and once again, getting back to it, that I've employed and still involved with some brilliant traders that are doing all this research for me. It's fantastic. I've been doing it. I've spent in hours, years, thousands of man hours, hundreds of thousands of dollars in research and development. I'm delivering that to you here. That is, in my program you gain all of this. So stop spending your money and stop searching for the Holy Grail. So let me quickly show you some of the research and development that we have underway at the moment. One of the big things is, of course, through computerized trading. This is something that we're doing for the Follow Me accounts. This is trading the euro dollar 4 range. Now if you look at here, and this is based on TradeStation here, incredibly successful, and been using the 4 range rule of 2. That's a trading concept. I won't go into it. It's a proprietary one, but the rule of 2 has incredible periods of success, as it states here. But then you get in a choppy market, anyone can show you a great trending market and say, look at all the money we made. But it's when you're in periods of consolidation or it's range bound that you really have your challenges. Here, this is where we're applying range and some of our trading, applying then time based charts as well. So we're looking at high time frames or anchor charts, and I'll be talking, if we get time, I'll talk about anchors a little more, looking at divergences, etc. Working on Renko charts, Renko, tick, range, and time based. So this is just part of the report that we've put together. So we're looking at trend following, breakouts, counter trend trading. Now I know for the newer traders here thinking, wow, where's he going with this? I'm not going to pick this up. You will, and it's really, I'm just showing you some of the research that's underway, which is really applicable. But remember, it's a bit like an aircraft. You don't need to know how the jet aircraft or the engine works. You know it works. Likewise, a lot of the things I'm going to be showing you in a moment, you don't need to know how, what makes the turbine spin. You really don't. So this is really important though for some of the automated trading that we're doing, because we need to build from top down. That is, we need to look at higher time frames. What's our higher time frame doing? For an example, in this case, because we're looking at trading with hundreds of accounts at one stage, what's really important is that you be able to execute those. Otherwise you get what we call slippage. For an example, traders, if we had 1,000 traders try to jump on the 133 tick chart on, say, the NQ, the market will move dramatically. So when you have large accounts or large amounts being executed into the market, a large amount of contracts, you need to be trading higher time frames. And this is what some of this work is really all about, is that with the Follow Me accounts, with this particular company we're putting there, we're looking at hundreds of subscribers. We're looking at higher time frames to really make this work. And just before I move on, another project that I'm involved with a very skilled financial engineer out of Los Angeles, Tom Brown. This is something we're doing on hedging. with the Forex market. Now of course there are different regulations in the US compared to the rest of the world when it comes to hedging, but this is a program that Tom Brown's and I've been working on, and the guy's literally just absolutely brilliant what he's putting together. So this is not ready to be launched yet, but once again, follow me accounts, etc. It's just got huge potential, and this is just a live account there, profit loss statement just on mini accounts. We're in the testing phase at the moment, the beta phase. Very exciting. Now what I've just shown you, what does all of this mean to you, the trader? Well, traders, not only am I a day trader in my own right and a success coach for traders, but I'm also a researcher and developer. So when I present some of these strategies and some of the concepts, it's coming direct from the heart, raw, real, direct, with things that I do every day, full time. As my wife said, I'm married to the markets because it's my passion, it's what I do, and I absolutely love it. So my message to you is, whether you trade stocks, futures, or Forex, is to stop looking for the Holy Grail. Traders, in many ways I've been looking for the Holy Grail for years, and what I've discovered is I've discovered the Holy Grail in many ways, and really, as probably most of us know, particularly experienced traders, the real Holy Grail, it truly is a control of one emotions. That is the most important factor. That is why over 90% of traders are failing today. So I'm going to be sharing with you some of the best trading strategies that I've come across. They're not automated strategies, because some of the charts I've just shown you are great in certain markets but not in others, and nothing beats, out of all the research and development I've done and been involved in, nothing beats the human eye. It really doesn't. So there are four cornerstones, or four, if you like, legs to the stool to make you an epic day trader. The right education, and I'm not talking about spending thousands of dollars here. For patience, having a sniper mentality, sitting back and being patient, a discipline to follow your trading plan, your trading rules, and of course money and risk management. Now please remember this: if you've struggled with trading in the past does not equal the future. You can change your future, you can change in an instant, but what it means is rewiring your brain, and that's a big thing that I do, because traders, you know what I mean. Many of you here have blown accounts numerous times. You've tried different strategies and you've gone from one thing to another. Your past, you can't change that. Every trader has an incredible future ahead of them if they do it right. Now very quickly, we know scientifically now, and many of you have probably heard about or even read about learned helplessness, why it's strongly tied to animal psychology and behavior. It really is applicable when it comes to human beings, and this is an extreme example, but I've got to mention it. Of course, we're seeing big things happening with ISIS over in the Middle East, and we're seeing, and this happens in every war, and the Second World War, the First World War, where you see huge lines of prisoners and maybe a handful of guards that are armed actually looking after these hundreds of prisoners. Why don't they try to overwhelm their guards? Well, they've got what we call learned helplessness. I know it's an extreme example, but it's really true. What happens in many cases with traders, they become and they develop learned helplessness syndrome. There is an answer, but you need to be open-minded. As I mentioned, that is so critical, and we've got to go back to the start and rewire you with the right habits. So day trading is not rocket science, yet it's estimated, and we know now from the CFTC figures, the NFA figures, that many traders, it's over 90%, will fail within 6 months. The great thing about the NFTC and the CT, so I'm getting at the end, I'm getting all the figures wrong. Gee, I'm trying to cover so much information here, but the bodies in America, let me just say that, is that they put out monthly statistics of all of the brokers, so we can now get accurate stats of who's making money and who's not individual accounts, but overall for the brokers. So once again, these are statistically based. The NFA, I meant to say before, sorry traders. So most traders lose because they trade without any real strategy. They trade on fear and hope. And if you were to ask most traders to document their trading strategy, they'll admit it's gut feel or is varied from their plan that they had some period of, that is, they've got lost along the way. Now, I don't claim to be inventor of most of the trading strategies of techniques that or techniques that I'm going to be showing you. Now, and you've probably heard this before. In fact, it said to take everything out of one book is plagiarism. To take it out of 20 books is research. I am a researcher. You've probably remember, if you go back to my library there, I have hundreds of books, tapes, videos. I've gone to courses and I've studied some brilliant traders, but it all comes back to the same thing. And as Gann famously quoted one day, there's nothing new under the sun. And when it comes to trading, I really believe in that. And all I've really done, if many things, is to fine-tune some of the strategies to suit my trading style, which suits most of my clients as well, and the people that I work with in the funds management industry. Now, you only need to master one of these trading strategies for it to become an epic trader. In fact, I talk about this, and if anything, I probably sound like a broken record. You've probably heard the story, and let me quickly tell you this story. I think it's really applicable here. Some years ago, there was a famous minister in a church in America, and he gave a sermon to the, what will we call it, to those present in the church on a Sunday. And the next week he gave the same sermon, and for 6 weeks he gave exactly the same sermon. Now finally the elders in this church were really concerned. They asked to see the minister in private, and they met with him privately, and they said, sir, we've noticed the last 6 weeks you've given the exact same sermon every week for 6 weeks. With that, is everything okay? Is there something wrong? With that, the minister just smiled at them, and he said, I'm glad you noticed. And they said, why have you given the same sermon? And he said, I'm going to keep doing this until you start applying what I'm teaching in my sermons. I'm going to keep running the same sermon until you apply it. Likewise, you'll hear me quite often talk about the same things, and even in this webinar, because it really comes back, you've got to have this information seep in. So the big thing is, with the traders that are brand new watching this for the first time, those that are considering becoming a trader, likewise, and if you do go ahead and purchase my program, you'll hear me talk about it in over 5 hours of recordings. You'll hear me say it time and time again. And the experienced traders, you have to master one setup, one strategy till you own it. Remember the movie Karate Kid? Wax on, wax off. In Korea, the Korean archers, for 3 months before they're allowed to fire an arrow, have to practice using the arrow, or sorry, drawing back the bow, I should say, for 3 months before they fire the arrow. There is a technique just in drawing the bow. So it's all about using the power of focus and focusing on one setup, one strategy before adding additional strategies to your trading plan. This is one of the key secrets to really learning how to trade, and you do this by becoming a trend trader to begin with. You only trade with the trend. Now, there's no magic bullets, just there are no magic indicators, patterns, or strategies, but there are probabilities, statistics, and patterns that appear every single day. Now, some of the strategies and techniques I show you work in all time frames and markets, whether you trade Forex, futures, and stocks. And I'm going to be quickly covering, particularly talking quickly about Forex and trading futures, which is the best one for you to actually trade. And remembering, of course, all of these appear in geometric patterns. That is, they appear consistently, the same pattern every day, every market, and in all time frames. Now, here's what I'd like to make sure you please write this down. As traders, we need to learn to not only learn how to master one setup, but we need to learn to trade what we see and not what we think. We need to, let me say that again, we need to trade what we see and not what we think. Absolutely critical. Now this is a great line, absolutely love it, and I use it every day in coaching. I can only show you the door, but you're the one that has to walk through it, which is a great line out of the movie The Matrix. And let me say it again, I can only show you the door, you've got to walk through it. That is, I'm going to show you some of the world's best trading strategies and methodologies and techniques, but you've got to take them up and follow the rules. It's absolutely critical. Many of you have probably heard of Curly and seen the movie City Slickers. Jack Palance of course played that role, and he had a great line in it, and many of you have probably remembered it. Towards the end of the movie, he talks about one thing. An epic success as a trader really comes down to only one thing: choices. The choices you and I that we make on a daily basis. Now let me quickly talk a little bit about psychology here, because this is once again 90% of trading. We've all heard of the butterfly effect. That is, so it goes, is that a butterfly flaps its wings on one side of the world and it causes a tsunami or a hurricane on the other. So let's consider then the consequences of choices, even the smallest ones that we make every day. Now if we consider and this is absolutely critical to please focus in on what I'm about to say. If we take the home-based day trader, someone that works from home, day trades on their own, self-taught, maybe goes to a couple of courses, etc., versus the institutional trader or some of the professional traders I work with, if you take the institutional trader, they do have a full-time coach. If it's not me, it's their floor manager, it's their manager. They have someone they answer to. They have rules they've got to abide by. They have floor limits, they have loss limits. Now if you're not disciplined in that role, you'll be reprimanded usually a maximum of 3 times, and then you're fired. If you're making poor choices consistently, you're fired. Are you allowed to drink on the job in these? Of course not. Now if you break your money management rules on the floor in these institutions, you're what? You're fired. Now one of the challenges for day traders, and this is one of the greatest things for us working from home or working from a small office, if you're not getting peace and quiet working from home, who is our coach? Who keeps us in check? Unless you've got a trading coach, you need to do all of that, and that's where some of the challenges come in. Now Robin Sharma says this beautifully: small tiny improvements every day lead to stunning success. Now people don't usually fail overnight as traders. Failure can be something that happens over a year or even over 2. Maybe they keep restocking their account, putting dollars in it. Failure is the failure to do the small things that matter. Now small tiny improvements every day lead to stunning success. Now in learning how to trade, if you're new to trading, along the way, treat this as a 3-month internship. You'll have what I call aha experiences along the way. Now I had a lovely couple in my office last week, and these people basically semi-retired, and they were looking at the screens. I was explaining various setups to them, and as I said to them, and you could tell they were thinking, oh gee, can I learn this? And as I said, what'll happen is in 30 days time you go, aha, that's how that works. Oh gee, aha, that's what that means. You'll have aha experiences. What I'm saying here is that if you look at this as a 3-month internship, now if you need to relearn how to trade, it needs to be a 3-month internship. I've got this European trader who's no doubt going to watch this webinar. He'll know who I'm talking about. He's blown his account many times now. He's had the capital to do it. As I said, you've got to go back, stop trading with real money, and you've got to relearn and look at it as a 3-month internship. You need to rewire your brain. Now the majority of losers in this business are losers because they keep moving from one system to another, one indicator to another, one strategy or system, one guru to another. By the way, I'm no guru. I'm just a guy that loves what he does and is passionate. I live for this. It's my lifeblood. People going from one broker to another and they never learn how to put it all together, spending a fortune along the way. So let's talk about reframing your mindset. Now remember, there are no failures in this life, there are only results. When it comes to trading, you don't fail as a trader, you give up. That's what most people do. They give up, they keep blowing their money. Well, they run out of money. Well, stop trading with real money while you're learning this. There's nothing that you cannot accomplish if you're absolutely committed to achieving it. You're willing to take massive action. You notice what's working and what's not. You continue to change your approach until you achieve what you want. Tony Robbins talks a great deal about this, and you may be noticing, sorry traders, is that I'm talking a great deal. I talk about Robin Sharma, Jack Welch, Tony Robbins, some of the world's best, because this trading business, it's a mind business. That's what it is. As I mentioned earlier, there are hundreds of strategies that work, but it comes down to us, the individual. So let me now give you some really bad news, and I'm sorry new traders, this is a reality, but I've also got an answer for you. You've got a 90% plus chance of failing as a day trader, 90% plus, unless you join the 5% club. Now in the 5% club, the 5% club, you've got to be willing to do what the other 90% of traders won't do, which means for many traders going to their limits. Now the great thing about it is when you push yourself going to your limits, you have a paradigm shift. Your limits start to expand, you start to learn. Now what I'm talking about here, doing 90% of what traders don't do, we're talking about some of the basic things. Remember what Curly said, life comes down to one thing, choices. That's what it really is. Because when you enter our business, you're entering a very highly competitive field of trading. Now remember, you're up against some of the finest, sharpest, toughest minds in the business. It's true. Some of the people I work with have the privilege, and sometimes I even think, by the way, I should be paying them to be coaching them, because what I learn is incredible, some of the information. But what I try to do is model them. I try to get into their head what makes them tick. So yes, they're learning, of course, from me, otherwise they wouldn't call me in, but I'm learning from them. You've got to have an open mind. Once again, how's it go? The mind is like a parachute only works if it's open. Likewise with the mind, we've got to be open-minded. Now when I say being open-minded, there's a big difference between being open-minded and saying to yourself, how can I improve this strategy, rather than constantly looking for a new strategy. Huge difference. But you're dealing with a lot of really smart people. Now we know that over 90% will lose their trading capital. Here's how it works. Either you take the cash from another trader, or I take yours. That's the reality of trading. Trading is a zero-sum game. Now one must lose, and it's not going to be me, traders. I'm going to take money from other traders legally, because they have the opportunity to change that. But if it's not you, if you don't take theirs, they're going to take yours. Now I think Norman Vincent Peale said this beautifully. People become quite remarkable when they start thinking they can do things. When they believe in themselves, they have the first secret of success. Now what you've got to do is, in trading, is not only develop confidence. Confidence is important, which is what we're talking, but you also have to develop competence. You've got to become a competent trader, and you do that over time. Now there's lots of books written about millionaire traders. This is a good book. One of the challenges with this particular book, by the way, it's an excellent, Boris and Kathy have, it's a really good book, but it doesn't drill down on their strategies. And what I really want to do is, I want to really, besides getting in someone's head and finding out, I want to also find out, okay, what's their methodology, how do they think, etc. Is that it really gets down to that there we're talking about everyday people, and the point here is you can do it. You can master the art of trading. Remember, great traders are not born. And whatever the limits you put on yourself, if you're looking at for an example in a moment when we get to the trading strategies, and remember, and you look at these, and by the way, and you say, I can't do this. Well, that's a self-imposed limit. It sounds like a cliche, I know, but if you believe you can, you're right. If you believe you can't, you're right. You can learn how to day trade. So traders, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop this, save this, and the next video I'm going to put up will be part 2 of trading your way to financial freedom.